Hello, Libra, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of June 29th through July 5th. During that time, we will have a waxing crescent moon, and a waxing crescent is a really good time for just heightened senses, your ability to focus, get things done. Let me grab a drink here before we get started. Just be able to buckle down, get things done, projects that you may have started during the new cycle. And then we do move into the first quarter energy, and that can be on the 3rd or the 4th. And that's kind of the opposite. It's when you feel a little impulsive, you're impatient, your mind is active, you don't feel like buckling down and concentrating, getting anything done. So thank goodness we do have a holiday here in the United States on July 4th. So hopefully, you get to have that day off and you don't have to work through that energy. But then we will move into the waxing gibbous energy, which is kind of just back to work, so go ahead and enjoy that time off this week if you have it. This will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter, Libra. So, of course, please keep that in mind. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading, and 2 cards are coming out, so we will take both of them. A new start is coming, and meditate and contemplate, which is crazy. Tarot and cards are just so interesting. Out of this full deck of cards, and what am I? This is the 7th reading for this week. And out of this full deck of cards, I've seen both of these cards already in the readings. So sometimes I feel like there's, kind of a group energy for the entire collective. And it's just so interesting when you start reading for, the collective to be able to see those things come out. I don't know, just repeating cards. Even the tarot cards that come out, I see kind of repeating and how everybody's interacting with each other. It's very, very interesting. So anyway, just to let you know that I've seen those cards before. A new start is coming, meditate and contemplate. So Libra, as I'm shuffling, I would like to say that since my readings are free to you, all that I ask in return is that you hit that subscribe button right down there. It really does help my channel. It just helps put, my videos out and helps with the algorithm, if you like and subscribe to them. It's super, super easy for you to do. So I will give you just a moment to do that right now, if you would. Thank you so much. And if you've been a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and helping me build a community here. I'm starting to notice that, my subscriber count is also kind of my video view count. So it tells me that you guys are watching the videos weekly and hopefully getting something out of them, which is the whole reason I'm here. So thank you so much for coming back and joining me week by week. All right, Libra, June 29th through July 5th. A new start is coming, and meditate and contemplate. Also, my weekly reminder this week, before I get started, I forgot, is that you keep a spiritual journal. This is just my personal advice to you. Sometimes we don't recognize the patterns that are evolving in our life when it comes to our spiritual life or experiences. And it's just really good to kind of just jot those things down. I know it's like adding one more thing in a day, but just if you do it at night or early in the morning, just things that you've noticed or synchronicities that you've had, maybe dreams, that sort of thing. But it can be just a really good tool when you're looking back on that information. So just my little friendly advice. All right, Libra, your overall energy right now. Page of Swords. So, our pages are kind of our new path, our juveniles of the deck. So this could be some new path of communication or just a new way of thinking. You might be adopting, sometimes we all go through where, I'm going to be very positive this week. And maybe you've put affirmations up on your mirror in the morning. It's the first thing you're going to do, to make sure that your mindset is something correct, or you've changed something, kind of in your thinking that it's new for you. So remember, it does take some time for things to become a habit. So keep at it if you're trying to make those kind of changes. It could be something new in the way of messaging. So maybe you put a new message app on your phone. There's some way that you're communicating in a new and different way. Your current situation is the 8 of Cups. So looks like you're kind of in seeking mode. You're kind of out there, your cups are full and you're like, okay, life is really good right now. What else is going on? The waters are very calm. You might be doing this, it's kind of nighttime out here. It's, you're just kind of heading into the what's new, what's next for me out there. And that can be a very positive thing. So, again, you could be doing this as a new way of communication or a new way of doing things. You've kind of turning a leaf over, if that makes sense. At the root of your situation is the Wheel of Fortune. Speaking of just turning a wheel, turning a leaf over, this is a card of evolvement. And this is about, I always think of that song, The Wheel in the Sky Keeps Turning. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. And that's exactly what this card represents. It's that you're evolving, you're changing into something new, and we are all constantly doing that. When you turn around and look at, a year from now, and turn around and look at yourself, you're going to see that something in your life changed and made you a different person. And you can look back right now to a year previous or 5 years previous. Think about how your life evolves with just the smallest little nuance of change. It could be someone that you meet where you're in a relationship with them, that changes you, or a friend that you make, or a job change, or you move to a different location. It's just so many things that happen in our lives that kind of bring on that evolvement and that change. So you're definitely in that. That's kind of at the root of why you're seeking what's out there, which is awesome. In your recent past is the Nine of Cups. So it looks like you're kind of feeling very satisfied with things, and that's good. And maybe you've indulged a little bit. And that's great. Maybe you're coming off of a vacation. That always changes my mindset and causes me to evolve. I always laugh that, it used to be we would take our kids camping every year. And every year I would come back and it was almost like spring cleaning in the summer, because I would be like, we were gone for a week and a half, however long we were camping. And I didn't need this. I didn't need any. And I would start purging things and being like, we can live without that. Let's get rid of that. So it just changes your perspective. When you're living very simply for that long, you're like, why do I have all this stuff? And that's what I mean by that evolvement, that evolvement. And maybe you've been on a vacation and it changed your perception. So that's the example I was using there. Doesn't necessarily mean it's exactly what you're going through, but just an example of how we evolve, and how some sort of indulgence might change the way you think about your life and how you're living it day to day. All right, what is on your mind this week is the Page of Cups. So this is lots of juvenile energy. And I call the Page of Cups our comedian. He's walking around with his he's kind of new at things. He's got that fish in his cup there, but this would be someone who's kind of clumsy at love. Just imagine the youth, your own youth, or the youth around you, as they enter into relationships. They're not quite sure how to deal with the opposite sex, and and they're trying to just learn how to kind of navigate that. And how funny it is, thinking about on our past or watching those around us do that. But this is kind of your way of thinking, is that you're also kind of navigating something new, maybe to you in the emotional realm. But this can also to me designate just kind of a sense of humor. I mean, look, he's dressed very silly. He's got his pink tights and his blue and pink and it's just a silly card, and I just see maybe that's on your mind. It's just that you're trying to live light and laugh a little bit as you're going through this evolvement, which is great. Keep your wits and your sense of humor about you. What is just ahead of you? Again, looking at the future here, this time with the Two of Wands. So you're you're thinking about where you're headed. Again, a new start is coming, and meditate and contemplate. So take that time to go within. I wouldn't be surprised. We haven't seen him yet. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Hermit card come out in this reading, because you do need to go within to kind of make those decisions. And if you're heading towards a new start, if it does start with your mentality that you want to have a new start, it just kind of, there's an evaluation there that does take you going within, meditating, contemplating, and kind of deciding, here are the parts of my life that are working and I would like to continue doing these things and improve upon them. Here are the parts that are not, and I would like to get rid of them. So that's just that meditative evaluation that you do. And we all go through that. In your advice position is the Hanged Man. Perfect card for this, a new perspective. So again, if there's something that you came out of in this indulgence, like I said, with some new perspective and some like, I don't have to live this certain way. I can do things this way. This is kind of a think outside of the box card. You're going to look at things in a way that maybe no one else ever has. But it's certainly new for you, a new perspective. And because that's in your advice position, it just means that you do need to embrace this new perspective that you're having, that it seems like you're on the right track, when you're doing that. And so let's just continue with that. Keep that new perspective going, and keep doing those things as you're seeking out what's in your future. You're just kind of feeling the world out, which is very awesome. What is beyond your control is the Six of Pentacles. I've also seen this card come up in a couple of readings, and I think in this position also, which is very interesting. So, I always ask the person I'm reading for, what is happening in this card? So I'm going to ask you that right now. Take a look at this card and just think in your mind, what is happening? So some people will say that this person is giving, and some people will say that these people are receiving. And whichever answer there came first to your mind is probably kind of the mindset that you're in right now. Are you in more of a giving position, or are you in a receiving position? And actually, sometimes the receiving position can be harder than the giving person. It's very easy for most people to give of themselves, to give money when it's needed, to just help people around them. But it's sometimes hard to be the person that is receiving. That's a little bit harder. So think about that, and think about what that card means to you, because it's beyond your control to kind of be in this position this week, to be in either a giving or a receiving position. Either of those you can do with grace. What is your secret desire, or what you're trying to avoid, is the Seven here of Pentacles. So, you know, this position, this secret desire trying to avoid, is kind of your big question of the week. Is the thing, to me, it's like the thing that you need to do the inner exploration on. So is it your secret desire to kind of wait and see what these seeds that you've planted? This is kind of the card of harvest and seeing what's about to come in, and there's nothing really you can do. You're just kind of waiting for things to happen. Is it your secret desire to do that? Or are you trying to avoid whatever seeds that you have planted, and what might be coming at you soon? So that's your big question of the week. Only you can answer that. But something for you to think about, and maybe again with the meditation and the contemplation. Are you happy with the seeds in the past that you've planted? And these could be financial seeds, these can be investments, things that you've made, but it can also be, the things in your personal life, the things that you're nurturing or have been nurturing in your past that will pay off for you. Are you nurturing the right things, I guess, is the big question there for you. In your outcome position is the Empress, someone else that I've seen a lot in the readings this week. And the Empress can be a card of pregnancy. So if that is something that you are trying to do, that's good for you. If it's something you're not trying to do, please pay attention to that part of your life. But the Empress doesn't always mean physical pregnancy. It can mean that as you seek out your future here, you're going to engage in something that will be long term, right? And when you have a baby, you're gestating for 9 months, and then another, you have that baby for life. Honestly, really, parenthood never really ends. So it's a long term thing, and it's kind of the long term thing that you're looking for. And are you sowing the seeds here again that are going to get you to what your long term goals are? So very interesting, especially if you're thinking of a new start. It seems like the start that you're thinking of, or the start that's coming to you, is going to be something and I almost want to say that, there's a time period, and there's a lot of youthful cards. Okay, let me start here. These youthful cards, I could be speaking to, maybe the more youthful Libra collective here, those of you maybe in your 20s, your 30s, or younger, or, anywhere, the kind of the young adult set, because the pages can often denote that. And I'm getting the feeling, sometimes there's a time in your life when it's like, you're young and you're relaxed, and it's kind of like party time, and everything's very light and this and that, and you're not really being serious about where you're headed in your future. And then there's kind of a mark where you kind of grow up a little bit, and you go, well, maybe I shouldn't be going to the bar 3 nights a week, or, partying with these friends all the time, and you just kind of start to do adulting a little bit more. It doesn't mean that you don't have to have fun. You can keep your sense of humor about you. You can still have fun. It's just probably not going to be the primary focus. You're probably going to, maybe focus on your job a little bit more. You're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should start putting into that retirement fund a little bit more, focusing on having a family, or, being more responsible with your housing. Maybe you buy a house instead of renting, if you can do that. So, and I kind of get the feeling with this reading and that's to me what the Empress denotes. It's like that maybe there's a demarcation line with this new start, that it's kind of, it's kind of doing those more adult things. So if that's you, go ahead and do that. It's fine. That's just kind of how life goes. What is hidden from you this week at the bottom of the deck is anxiety. So good. You're not anxious about anything this week. In fact, you have a sense of humor. You've got a pretty good smile on your face there, with that Page of Cups. You're coming out of an area where you've been a little self-indulgent, but you're learning, and you're kind of just thinking about what this new start is. Maybe there's been some opportunity that has come to you that's changed your perspective. Like, oh, I didn't even know that was an option. So look out for those things as the universe puts them in front of you, because a new start does appear to be coming. And it may not be this week. It may just be something that's really heavy on your mind this week that you're thinking about, but it looks like you are heading towards a future of that, of making decisions that are more about the long term instead of the short term. All right, let's get a message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Message for Libra, June 29th through July 5th. Be creative. Great message there. And be creative in your thinking. Again, as you're doing this meditation and contemplation and thinking about things, and I think I said that with the Hanged Man, is your perspective might be a perspective that no one's ever had before, and that's where you get to be creative, right? All right, we are going to pull this is a deck, and it's called Self-Care Wisdom Cards. They're by Cheryl Richardson, and this deck got in front of me, and I just love them, and I thought, let's add these to the readings. And so we're giving these a try this week, but this is about self-care. And let's see what you do need to do this week, Libra, to take care of you. Let's see what card pops up here for you. All right. The card is called Calm. I love the art on that. A breakdown is often followed by a breakthrough. Remain calm. And, again, with cards, I saw that card already in the readings this week. So remain calm. I don't see that you're not going to through any of this. It looks like, like I said, anxiety is hidden from you. I don't think you're going to be excited about anything this week, or too agitated or crazy. It's just kind of things are getting in front of you. You're making these decisions, and this whole reading does feel calm. So that's good advice. I just don't see that you're going to get too excited over any of this. So Libra, I want to wish you the best of luck with all of this as you're meditating, contemplating, having these new perspectives, and just kind of getting ready for this new start. I think it's very exciting. Make sure you are being creative about it, thinking outside of the box again. Like I said earlier, I do hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use. And of course, if you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below. Let me know, has there been some new perspective for you? Do you have a new start coming? Do you know what that is yet? Or are you kind of in that contemplation, contemplative mode? But if you guys leave comments, you can share notes with other Libras, and I think that might be a little bit fun. So I do post weekly readings, so come back next week. We'll see if this energy continues or if there's something completely new here for you. Also, again, if you like my reading style, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help my channel, but most importantly, it'll help you find me next week. So thank you so much, Libra, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.